Hello and welcome to today's tutorial. Today we're going to take a look at Flexbox. We're going to cover what it is, how it works, and just some basic Flex properties and get a better general understanding of how to use Flex. So if we first get started by getting our outer div because we want to apply Flex to it. To get started with Flex, all we have to do is say display Flex on whatever element we want to display it on. Save that and notice it goes into more of an inline block styling. Well, Flexbox uses a direction, so it aligns all its properties along either the x-axis, which is its default, which is row, or the y-axis using column. So if we do that, it flicks into a column. And then all children elements of the parent container, if it has flex on, can be aligned using flex properties. So if we say justify content, flex start, nothing changes. If we put flex end, it aligns it to the end of the container. And if we come in and put flex center, it aligns it in the center on whichever axis the direction is flowing in. So justify content is how it aligns horizontally, so how it aligns along the x-axis, and there is also align items, which again you can use the same properties, flex start, flex end, or center. Now if we put a greater height on this of, let's say, 300 pixels, then 300 pixels is like from here to about here, and it's put them in the center, and it's also done a perfect center because we have the justify content on, so it's aligned it horizontally and then aligned it vertically to the center. Or we could do flex start and flex end, and it puts it at the bottom left, or do that, it goes back to its default, we can put it there, it's over there, or we could even line it back in the center, so it's the center right. So another thing we can do is we can style our items, so we can use a flex grow, and that spreads them out because each item is now growing, and because I've selected all items and put flex grow 1 on there, they each grow relative to each other. If I come in here and I put flex item 2 and we do flex 2 and we put flex grow 2, then we'll put background on them. Just so you can see how this works. So this is growing twice as fast to fill the area as it is to the other elements. And if I put 3 on there, it will go 3 times as much as the other elements. If I take the flex off there, it will just, because these aren't growing, they just get pushed to the side and only take up the amount of space they need to. And then even if I drop that to 1, it will be the same, because they'll take up the space they need to, and then because I've put a flex property on this, it will just fill up the remaining space. I can also use the justify content center on it. Align. my kind of text. There we go. So I can even center directly text on it. Another thing we could do is use an order. So if I put an order just on one of them, no matter what number it is, it will go to the last position. If I put minus on it, then it will jump to the front. Or I can put position 1 on there, and I can put if they're both the same, it will just go back to the normal flow. But if I put position of 2 on there, then item 2 comes to the front because the order is 1, and then the other 2 will go afterwards, and then they'll line themselves accordingly. Or I could break it up and I could have an order 1 on item 3, order 2 on item 1, and then item 2 would be like back here. So that's a cool little one. Also, instead of grow, we also have flex shrink, which if I put a flex shrink on here, and set flex. There we go. So item 3 grows out, and so does item 1, and then item 2 would shrink down. So flex shrink is the opposite of flex grow. It's less commonly used, but it's still handy to note sometimes. But it's the opposite of flex grow. We also have a property called flex basis, and all that is basically the width property, but a more flex version of doing it. So if I done width, you can see there's no change, but if I do 200 pixels and then flex basis 200, 100, it's just a width property for flex. After that, we have flex wrap. So you can come in here in the parent container, and we can say flex wrap. Now it won't wrap them at the moment, but if I put a width of 500 pixels, I'll quickly get rid of them. You can see how they're roughly aligned, and I'll just quickly get rid of the width on there and the order so we can see how this properly formats. So I've got a width of 500 pixels. If I put a width on here of 200 pixels, and a width of 200 pixels. There we go. It's went over the width of this, and there's no set height, so it will just put the next one underneath. And that's how flex wrap works. And if we say no wrap, then it just keeps them all in line like so. So that's all there is really to flex. So we'll just do a more real world example quickly. So just highlight these. And we can turn this into a nav, so we'll put and we'll take these off. Setting it right property would help. And now we could do I'll get rid of them for now. And then we could do a justify content space around. Now this property will put a bit of space between them, equal spacing, and then on the ends it will just put a bit of like, sort of padding, not physical padding, but it will act as though it's got like a margin on the outside. If we use space between, which is similar, then it will just stretch them to the ends like a start, a flex end, and then a center. Or we can, but we're going to put them as a space around, and then on item, just so we can see them. Like so, and then you could do your background, like that, or even better, you could do your nav item hover, and then you can still do all the hover stuff. So using Flex is great for things like navs or web page layouts, because instead of positioning everything and then using padding and margin, Flexbox just gives you one property or two properties if you want to align them both ways, and then you can just align everything on one axis relative to that container, and it's just a great quick way of doing everything. So that essentially wraps up the basics of Flexbox. If you want to find out more properties or great things, then I suggest W3 Schools, or just simply looking at the Flexbox documentations you can find online. They're a great source, and it's always handy to start reading them, because that's how you learn code. You look at documentation, you learn what others do, and that's how we all improve. So it's a great handy task to get on with. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope my breakdown of explanation of how it worked was quick and useful, and why we might use it. So like in a nav, or setting out big sections of the web page easily, just using Flex and then justifying it on an axis. So I hope to hear from your comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thanks for your time for watching, and have a nice day.